The 1941 Jefferson 5-cent coin is one of those pieces of American coinage that sits at a very interesting point in history, and because of that, collectors around the world study it not only as a numismatic item but also as a small piece of American life before World War II fully intensified. When you look at a 1941 nickel, the first thing to know is that it was struck in extremely large quantities. That is because the United States Mint was producing coins at a fast pace due to the expanding economy and the increasing demand for small denomination coins in shops, factories, and transportation. The Jefferson nickel design used in 1941 was the same design that had been introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The obverse carried the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On this coin, Jefferson faces left, and his hair, cheek, jawline, and coat are all sculpted in the neoclassical style that was common in the early 1900s. The inscriptions include the word, liberty, the date, 1941, and the motto, in God we trust. The style of the lettering is important because slight differences in strike strength and die wear can create varieties that collectors later search for. Although this year does not contain the dramatic wartime silver alloy, the 1941 nickel still stands out as the last year before the metal composition changed in late 1942. Because of that, the 1941 issue represents the end of the early pre-war Jefferson nickels, and collectors often keep it in their albums as a key transitional date. On the reverse of the 1941 5-cent coin, you see the well-known image of Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia. The building is shown from the front, complete with the dome and the symmetrical architecture. The inscriptions on the reverse read, E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. Many beginners do not realize that the presence or absence of sharp lines on Monticello's steps is extremely important for determining the quality of a Jefferson nickel. These steps are referred to as full steps. If a 1941 nickel has complete, uninterrupted steps at the bottom of the structure, it is considered much rarer in high grade. Even though millions of these nickels were produced, very few survived with perfectly struck steps, because the dies wore out quickly, and the minting machinery often did not apply enough pressure to bring out extremely fine details. That is why high-grade 1941 full steps nickels can be worth far more than regular examples in circulated condition. Full steps coins are especially valued by collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels and seek examples that best represent the original artistic detail intended by the designer, Felix Schlag. In 1941, the United States Mint produced Jefferson nickels at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, the Denver coins have a small D mint mark located to the right of Monticello on the reverse, and the San Francisco coins have an S. The total mintage for Philadelphia alone exceeded 200 million coins, while Denver produced over 50 million and San Francisco produced nearly 45 million. These are huge numbers by any standard, which is one reason why most 1941 nickels found today are fairly common in circulated grades. Many of these coins spent decades in pocket change, coffee shops, train stations, and factories before being stored by collectors. Because of this heavy circulation, the surfaces of most surviving pieces show wear on Jefferson's cheek, hair, and coat collar. On the reverse, the dome of Monticello and the lettering often become flat or smoothed out. Still, even circulated coins hold historical interest, because they were used during the early 1940s when the United States was gearing up for major wartime production. In this sense, each 1941 nickel is a small witness to the daily life of Americans before the coinage metals were changed for the war effort. Several varieties exist for the 1941 Jefferson nickel, most of them caused by die deterioration or minor doubling. One of the most discussed varieties is the 1941 double die reverse, where the doubling can appear on the lettering around Monticello, especially in the words, 5 cents, and Monticello. Although not as dramatic or valuable as double die coins from some other years, these varieties still attract collectors who enjoy searching through rolls and bags of old nickels. Another interesting aspect of the 1941 series is that the San Francisco Mint had certain quality control issues that year, which resulted in coins with weaker strikes. Because of that, finding a sharp 1941s nickel with full steps is much harder and naturally more desirable. Thus, even though millions of coins were minted, the number of truly high-quality surviving examples is limited, and this scarcity in higher grades is what often drives collector value. The composition of the 1941 nickel is the same as the original Jefferson nickel alloy used from 1938 through early 1942, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This standard composition makes the coin durable and resistant to corrosion, which explains why so many examples still exist today with decent details. However, because the alloy is hard, the dies used to strike the coins wore out faster, affecting the sharpness of details. This is one reason full steps examples are scarce. It is also notable that in 1941, the U.S. Mint had not yet switched to the wartime silver alloy, which began later in 1942. So collectors often classify the 1941 nickel as part of the pre-war era of Jefferson 5-cent coins. These coins do not contain silver, so unlike the wartime nickels, they do not have intrinsic metal value beyond their small amount of nickel and copper. Their value comes almost entirely from collectability, condition, rarity of specific varieties, and historical interest. Some collectors search for original rolls of uncirculated 1941 nickels, which sometimes appear in estate sales or old bank hoards. Such rolls can be quite valuable if they include sharply struck coins with excellent luster. When collectors and coin sellers discuss the value of a 1941 nickel today, several factors come into play. In average circulated condition, the coin is generally inexpensive because so many were made and so many survive. But if a coin is in brilliant uncirculated condition, especially with full steps, its value can rise significantly. Coins from Denver and San Francisco with full steps are usually more valuable because it is harder to find them with perfect step detail. Certain grading services like PCGS and NGC certify coins and award special designations such as FS for full steps, which can dramatically affect market prices. Even though the 1941 nickel is common, collectors still look for original mint luster, clean surfaces without scratches or contact marks, and strong strike detail. Because millions of people collect Jefferson nickels as an affordable series, there is always a steady demand for attractive examples from earlier years like 1941. Some collectors also enjoy building year sets and mint mark sets, and they include the 1941 P, D, and S coins to complete those collections. The 1941 nickel also carries sentimental and historical value because it represents a moment just before the United States entered World War II in December of that year. Many Americans who lived through that era remember using coins like the 1941 nickel for buying newspapers, coffee, bread, or transportation. These coins circulated heavily during wartime, even after the alloy change began in 1942. As such, they are often found worn, showing the long journey they had in everyday commerce. When holding a circulated 1941 nickel, one imagines how many hands it passed through during a time of major global change. For collectors who appreciate history, this gives the coin a deeper meaning beyond its monetary value.